Good morning, everyone. Everybody is in mute mode, and as we get going, I will co-host with our presenters and then allow them to unmute themselves. But thank you so much for being here this morning. My name's Teresa Shaver. I'm the CEO of the Business Advisory Centre Durham. And together with our financial partners here today, we are going to put on a session about getting funding and financing. So this is talking all about the numbers, anything to do with business loans, a little bit about your credit, working with financial institutions, and just learning even from Kristen Maramuto from Sparks Angels is going to really talk about how angel funding and investment works so that you understand a little bit about the financial landscape. So between all our presenters today, we will go through that in quite a little bit of detail. There's a lot of information in a short space of time, but you'll have the recording to go back to, and also you will have everybody's contact information so that if you need to reach out to them, that you can do so. This is an opportunity for you to ask all your questions that you might want. You can put them in the chat box if that feels more comfortable. And, if you want to unmute yourself, you just let me know, you raise your hand and I can do that as well. So thank you for being here. BACD, Business Advisory Centre Durham. We are Durham Region's small business enterprise center. So we help people who want to start their own business and want to grow and be successful in their business. We also have entrepreneurship grant funding programs, which I'll talk about after the session. And so to start, I'm going to ask Kristen Maramuto to unmute herself and to come online and to share her screen. So Kristen is from Spark Angels Network. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning. All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. All right, let me get situated here. All right, can I get a confirmation thumbs up that that's all seeing? All right, cool. And
Thank
it's
you.
switching.
It looks great.
All right, cool. I can see it. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for having me. And yes, I will try to keep this kind of short and sweet and jam pack it full of information. So please feel free to pop questions into the chat. I always find that once I'm co-host, all the bings kind of distract me. So I'm going to try to be focused this time around. But awesome. So yes, my name is Kristen Maramoto. I'm the general manager for Spark Angels, Durham and Northumberland's angel network. And what the heck is that? And I will explain that shortly. So before I kind of delve into the type of capital that we provide, I kind of like to situate kind of where we fit in the overall landscape, because there's a lot of different type of private equity options out there. And lots of you probably have seen articles in the news of startup X successfully raised millions and millions of dollars for their series A, B, C. And that comes much later on. And there's not really much kind of research or readily available information to help guide you to what's kind of before that, what is the prequel to that, so to speak. And that's what we're all about. So this kind of basically highlights that. So when you're kind of looking at kind of the bottom of the graph here, this whole line is basically geared towards what is the journey for a startup in particular, from the ideation phase to its launch, to its growth, and the various types of capital, specifically on the private equity side, usually fits with that kind of trajectory. So very early on, you kind of see where it's very much whatever resources you have available to you, going to your friends, your family, your personal savings, and really kind of just taking the shot in the dark, so to speak. The next kind of version of capital after that, we call this love money in the private equity space in terms of friends, family, and personal savings. That's love money. And then further down the road, again, when I kind of say those news articles of series A, B, C, D, millions and millions of dollars being raised, what have you, that's institutional money. And there's this wide chasm between love money and millions of dollars type money. And that's where angels fit in. That's kind of the chasm that we see that we fit. So as you can kind of see, there's different types of versions of angel groups, super angels, angel investors, and I don't mean to confuse you, but it's a large landscape in that regard. And so there's a certain level of risk depending on how early people get involved in your venture and how much they actually invest in your venture and when that happens. So depending on your contacts, that's why we kind of have angel investors, individuals, because it could be people that you know. So it just depends on your network and your resources. Angel groups like ourselves, we kind of fit into that next stage where you've launched something, you have a little bit of traction. When I say traction, I know that's a very gray area, and there's not something that can be clearly definable in terms of X amount of revenue, X amount of customers. It's very kind of subjective from that perspective. But basically what I say to people is you have to have a third party entity, a stranger, that has validated your idea. That could either mean they've signed up and they're a beta user. They actually have started paying for it. Something for an investor or somebody that knows nothing about that industry, knows nothing about your business, can look at somebody else and said, okay, they've kind of validated it. They've put something on the line and they validated that there's a demand here for it. That's what I mean by traction. And so for angel groups, we're kind of coming into this stage where we call it leap of faith capital, where it's post love money. We need something to say that there's a market for this, there's demand for this, and you have a clear plan in terms of what you want to accomplish, and you're looking for capital to kind of take you to that next level. So that's kind of where we fit in. If you have any questions about this graph, please feel free. I just hope that gives you a clear picture as to where we situate ourselves in the private equity landscape. And so when I kind of have to explain kind of what angel capital is and kind of the ins and outs to it, I know there's a lot of text on here, but you can think of it as our membership or our group is comprised of what we call accredited investors, which means that they have 200K pre-tax income or $1 million in assets. And so usually what does that mean when people ask us, what is the makeup of your group? They're usually successful business owners that know exactly the type of difficulties, struggles, wins, losses to building a business. And they have a passion for innovation and entrepreneurship. There is a return that they're looking for, excuse me, but there is an altruistic component to this type of investing. If they were purely in it for the ROI, there are other means of investing that would be probably higher in terms of their returns. And it's more stable and they don't have to worry about it. But the reason why they kind of get involved with our group is because they really like the idea of being the person they needed 20 to 30 years ago, as well as kind of fueling that next wave of entrepreneurs and kind of being not just a paycheck, but, you know, a sense of advisory to basically say, here are all the mistakes I've made. If I can help one or two people avoid those mistakes, that would be awesome. That's kind of their mentality. It's more than just investing to them. It's kind of a hobby. It's something that they're really interested in. And they're passionate about kind of learning about new businesses and being as helpful as possible. So all that being said, usually when I'm talking to people about, well, how do you look at businesses or startups that are applying to your group for investment? What is kind of the criteria or eligibility that you're looking for? And again, because we're sector agnostic, certain things don't fit depending on the industry. What do I mean by that? There can be certain industries that require a lot more upfront capital than other industries, and therefore our eligibility has to be flexible. An example of that is anything that is in the medical technology or health tech space, where they need a lot of upfront capital, either to develop and manufacture that product and then go through FDA or Health Canada approval. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars upfront, and they haven't even launched the product yet. So it's very different, and it's very hard to kind of get initial traction without that upfront capital cost. Versus, say, if you just built a widget or a software that doesn't have as much upfront capital costs, you can get that initial kind of hockey stick or growth relatively quickly and not as much capital needed. So it's just a different, depending on the circumstance, that we have to be aware of and acknowledge. So that's why you don't really see on our website or when you're talking with me, a set amount of revenue, a set amount of customers that you have to have. It's very gray, and we purposely have that so that we can basically analyze it on a case-by-case basis. All of that being said, is that that's basically under the umbrella of here's the math that our investors are looking for from an ROI perspective. Although there is an altruistic component to it, they also don't like to lose all of their money, and preferably they'd like to make money. And so what does that mean? They are expecting a 3 to 5x on their initial investment in a 5-year period. That's the simplest way that I can define it. So what does that mean? If they invest 100K, they expect 300 to 500K return. How does that happen? Over that 5-year period, the equity stake in the company gains value over time, so that when a new pool of investors come in, or a bigger fish decides to try to acquire that company, or the company goes public, the value of that equity over time has hopefully greatly increased. So that's kind of how our investment works. Again, from a structure perspective, that means that you need to be able to issue equity. So you need to be incorporated to be considered for that. That's probably part of the fine print, which I'll cover a little bit later on. But I hope from just kind of a what does that mean from an eligibility perspective? It usually means that you have to be highly scalable. Highly scalable, something that can be adopted in your game plan or your goal for your business is large. It has to be a pretty big picture in terms of the opportunity that you're trying to capture versus kind of what we would define as a lifestyle business, in which usually traditional financing means are a better option. All right. So I tried to simplify this before, but how can angels help me? Again, I kind of alluded to that capital. Again, they're voting with their own wallets. We don't operate as a fund, meaning us as management, we do not decide how much money goes where and when. It's completely up to our members themselves when they want to invest and who they're investing in. So you can think of us as party hosts, for lack of a better term. In terms of kind of how that happens, we have what we call monthly investment meetings, where you can think of it as a more realistic version of Dragon's Den, meaning there is a pitch element there. You are presenting your business to a group of people in the hopes of exchanging that for investment. But I promise you there's no Kevin O'Leary's or a lot of kind of that contentious back and forth. It's not like that, but just to kind of get you into that mindset of a presentation, that is basically essentially how it happens, but not a lot of kind of the contentious trying to land a deal within 15 minutes of you presenting. That does not happen, but that pitch element does. So in terms of kind of beyond the capital, what can they do? Our members kind of, again, since they have their own industry backgrounds, most of them have kind of built their own businesses. That means that they have their own Rolodex that you can take advantage of. So a lot of the times where if you're kind of in a particular industry, some investors will be knowledgeable about that industry. They may have played in that industry and they can help you with that. But I found more often than not, because you're pitching to a broad range of people with different backgrounds and industries, there's so many connections that you can pull from that you didn't really necessarily think of when you were initially pitching it, but it's just the amount of opportunities that you can get from a contracts perspective, a partnership perspective, something kind of beyond what you initially think. It kind of helps broadens your perspective. And beyond that, I like to say that they can be a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to cry on sometimes. It's not often that they'll take a board seat. For some other angel groups, they do want to have a board seat there, but it's not a must-have. So that can mean if you're struggling for certain things in your business, which they understand and they expect, you can just ask. And they'll try to be as helpful as possible from a mentorship perspective. So yeah, that's kind of how they can help. And finally, what is kind of the fine print here? It's not suitable for all businesses. Kind of like how I've indicated before, it has to be highly scalable, meaning it can be adopted in a relatively short period of time. That means that they're expecting a 3 to 5x on their initial investment in a 5-year period. And so that usually means that we have to avoid linear scaling businesses. That usually means brick and mortar. And that usually means by expansion or by scaling, it's on a per location basis. We tend to avoid that because, again, it usually just doesn't play out in the time frame that we're looking at. So there usually has to be some type of planned exit, either an acquisition or you're growing your company large scale that you want to end up on a stock exchange somewhere. I think that's all I've got. Yep, there we go. And there's my contact information as well. So I'm sorry, I'll pull up the chat to see if I missed anything.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there anybody that has any questions? You are welcome to ask or raise your hand so that I can unmute you. And if not, then please just leave your questions in the chat box. Kristen will be with us for probably another half hour or so, and she'll be able to answer those questions. As I mentioned in the chat box, really important for you as a business owner or someone who's considering being in business is just understanding the landscape or the financial environment that we are in as a business. And, you know, sometimes when you're starting out, you're not necessarily going to need finance, you know, to start out. Maybe you get started with a grant, but as your business grows or you want to grow or you want to bring in new products or services, this is the time when you need these other financial vehicles to be able to help you leverage that and to use somebody else's money to grow your business. So thank you so much, Kristen. Really appreciate you sharing. And thanks again for being here with us. So I'm going to bring Enrique up from Futurpreneur. I'm going to have him unmute and then make him the co-host there. Thank you. Your turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa, and good morning, everyone. I'm Enrique Soisa from Futurpreneur. I'm a business development manager for the territories, including Durham region, York region, Simcoe, and Peel region. So it's a good amount of space here. I'll just start now with the slides. So here we go. So we are Futurpreneur. Futurpreneur is a non-profit loan provider. We've been around for over 25 years. Let's see if I can get the slide move. There we go. And we are a mission-driven organization. So part of our mandate is in support of new entrepreneurs in Canada, 18 to 39 in age. So that is a definite kind of hard box that we have to work within. Our impact, we have been able to reach over 15,000 entrepreneurs and been able to provide over $170 million in capital in our 25 years to a wide variety of entrepreneurs. So onto the programs in terms of what, how you can participate in our programs here at Futurpreneur. So our core startup program is our startup program to launch new businesses. We can provide up to $60,000 by way of an unsecured, personally guaranteed loan. In addition, when you are provided the loan, if you're successful in receiving the loan, that is, you will be matched with a mentor for 2 years. That mentorship is non-negotiable. So if you are successful in coming in for the loan, you will have a mentor. Okay, and there's a match process to that as well. In the run-up as well, there are a lot of other opportunities that we provide to entrepreneurs to assist them and guide them through the application process, as well as establishing their business plan and cash flow, which is a major component in the application process. In addition to the core startup program, it's mirrored by our Indigenous Entrepreneur Startup Program. It mirrors, that core program with the ability to secure up to $60,000 by way of that loan. Same mentorship, same support from our entrepreneurs in residence and our programming. The difference is that this program itself is led by community members of the Indigenous community throughout Canada. A third program that we provide is the Black Entrepreneur Startup Program. The Royal Bank of Canada had approached us a number of years ago and helped us launch this program. So it too can also provide colleagues comprised of the Black community here within Futurpreneur, and the same dollar value can be provided in terms of our startup loan, up to $60,000. You still have the same mentorship and same supports and programs throughout. So again, it does mirror our core startup program. However, the difference with our Black Entrepreneur Startup Program, it is the one program that does provide the opportunity for follow-on financing in future years. And our last program to highlight is the Side Hustle Program, where it provides up to $15,000 in the way of a startup loan. Now, the difference with the Side Hustle Program is that it is not intended to provide a full-time income to the entrepreneur. Traditionally, in these cases, the entrepreneur has a full-time role job elsewhere that is providing them with a sustainable income. And this, again, as it's titled, is a side hustle program. It's intended to support the business, but not necessarily launch it into a full-time opportunity. They still have the mentorship that is provided to them in the 2 years that they are working with the mentor. Yeah, it's a fantastic little program that allows a business to slowly scale up, as opposed to kind of launch and be a full-time endeavor from the get-go. In terms of eligibility, so for our core program, as well as the Indigenous program and the Black Entrepreneur program, again, the major components are that you must be 18 to 39 years old. We expect everyone to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. So if they have PR status, that's great as well. In the case of students, university students or high school, we expect them to be at the very least in the last year of their studies, with the expectation that they will be able to commit to their endeavor full-time. Again, we're hoping to see that they launch a full-time business, and a full-time role is created out of that business as well. Additionally, other minor criteria are that in the case of perhaps tech platforms, an app developer, we are looking for them to be past the research and development stage. So certainly past the beta stage and certainly past the MVP stage. What we're looking for is market readiness in the applicants and their businesses. So we want to make sure that they're able to be able to, in a short amount of time, relatively speaking, be able to achieve some sales and launch. Another criteria is that these are startup loans. So these are intended for new businesses, ones yet to launch or even have recently launched within the last 12 months. Okay. Additionally, as mentioned, all approved loans are matched with mentors. And so they must agree to work with the mentors for a period of 2 years. What that looks like is that the mentors themselves are volunteers. They check in with the entrepreneur. There's some dialogue and communication on a regular basis, approximately 5 hours worth a month, which is sufficient for a variety of emails and phone calls between the entrepreneur and the mentor. And finally, in terms of applying, all applications must have a business plan and a cash flow document as well at the time of application. In terms of our supports and how we, what we can provide to all entrepreneurs in the run-up, and this is one of the highlights of our programming right now, is the Rock My Business series. These are guided online workshops with our entrepreneur in residence and probably another 100 other entrepreneurs at the same time who are, and we have identified the 3 major stages of their development. And the first one is on the ideation stage. So we look to how you can learn how to evaluate your business idea and make it a little bit more robust and ready to launch. Really kind of focus the value proposition that you're creating for your business and understand how you'll be presenting that to your potential consumer. The next stage, when you're a little bit closer and ready to launch, is to focus on the business plan. And again, it's another 3-hour guided workshop with our entrepreneur in residence and plenty of time to network with those other entrepreneurs, go into breakout rooms as well, and discuss certain tasks that are assigned specific to your business. And you're able to kind of establish a little bit more concretely some of the action items that you need to have in order to launch your business. And third, it's the cash flow workshop where we try to demystify the creation of a 2-year cash flow document for you. Again, this helps us understand the direction that the business will take as it launches and in the next 2 years with our financial support and as well as any additional planning, financing that you may have as well, and how that all lines up. We're there to make sure that you have a viable business plan, and the cash flow will demonstrate that as well. How it all works, again, if you're at the ideation stage of your business, we want you to participate in our Rock My Business webinar series. If you're now planning and have the ideas down on paper, well then again, we want you to register for our webinars and review our resources. We have a ton of resources aside from our workshops. We have a business plan writer tool on our website that walks everyone through the process of creating a business plan. And finally, you are then connected with a business development manager who has additional eyes on your documents to advise on best next steps. Finally, if you're prepared with documents and you're ready now to look for financing, register, speak with one of the business development managers like myself. We can shepherd you through the application process to make sure that you have the assets available in order to start completing your document package. And then again, it's a guided application. And that's pretty much it. As I said, a lot of it is guided. We want you to work with ourselves here at Futurpreneur. We will have additional eyes on your file at all times to ensure that we can identify the components of your specific business opportunity. Ensure that that we can guide you with our best advice in terms of your documents, so that way when it is reviewed, you have the best chance possible at securing the financing and, of course, launching successfully. So
Thank you.
Here in the chat, I'll also add the link here if you are interested in being connected with one of our business development managers.
Okay, there's a couple of questions I have for you from the chat box. So one of them is, does the age group apply across all the programs? So in all your programs, do the people have to be between 18 and 39?
Yes, that is, again, one of the hard boxes that we're constrained by.
Okay,
but
thank you.
Can include up to and including the day before your 40th birthday.
Yes.
I have worked with clients that have applied the Friday before the weekend of themselves or their partner spouse applying. So
Right.
As long as the application is in before the day of their 40th birthday, they're good.
Okay, good. I just want to ask a couple of other questions as well. So there's another one where what I want to ask you is, are the funds interest free? So I think depending on which program it is, there is a grace period or an interest free period. So can you explain a little bit about which one that is?
Yes, there is no interest free program. However, on repayments. So one thing I'd like to be very clear is that our loan program is almost like 2 loans in one. Actually, it is 2 loans in one. For the very reason of the fact that 1/3 of the financing comes from Futurpreneur directly. Okay, and so in order to achieve $60,000 by way of a loan, 20 comes from Futurpreneur directly. We utilize CIBC's prime rate plus 3%.
Okay.
The other component of financing comes from our partnership with the BDC. So as a result of that partnership, the BDC will automatically finance further on a 2-to-1 ratio any of the loans that we pre-approve. So if we approve you 20, 40 additionally comes from the BDC. That is how we get to 60. Okay. Their financing from the BDC comes utilizing their BDC's floating interest rate plus 1.65. So it's a blend between a fixed and a variable rate on the interest. On repayment, and I think this is perhaps where the question probably arose, or on repayment of the loan, all our programs provide in the first year repayments on interest only.
Right.
Principal and interest payments commence year 2 onwards. Okay. So what that means is that you have a lesser repayment burden in year 1 because you're only repaying on interest. The principal and interest then continues at the commencement of year 2. Okay?
Another question for you. How long is the loan for, the term loan? Can you decide if it's 3, 4, or 5 years, or how do you do it?
All our loans from our core program, our Indigenous program, and our Black Entrepreneur Starter program are for 5 years, so 60 months. The
Okay.
side hustle program is for 4 years because the side hustle only provides up to $15,000.
Right. And another question I have for you in that program. So one of the differences is that it's an unsecured loan. Is that still correct?
That is correct. So these loans are not business loans by definition. They are personally guaranteed. So effectively, they're a personal loan, but for business purposes. So we do consider credit scores as part of the evaluation in
Right.
terms of being able to understand how much will be the client is eligible for. So if they have the best credit score, they'll very likely be approved for the full $60,000. Anything less than the kind of the optimum numbers or how it's scaled down, then they may be offered slightly less. And it also just depends on what they're asking for. Many clients are not necessarily asking for the full 60, so it's less of a concern there as well. In the cases of the Indigenous and the Black Entrepreneur Starter Program, this is where there is a little bit more flexibility when it comes to credit scores. One of the purposes of the Indigenous and the Black Entrepreneur Startup Program is to help redistribute equity to communities that have been disenfranchised or have not had the same opportunities in the past. And so this is our way of, if there's a strong candidate with a strong plan, even with a less than optimal credit score, they may still be approved. We have seen great applications with low scores, low credit scores be approved, and great credit scores with not so great business plans be declined. So the credit score is not the end all and be all, especially when it comes to the Indigenous and the Black Entrepreneur Startup programs. So if the client does identify as either, then I encourage them to bring that to our attention as well, so we can explain the differences there, which are a little bit nuanced. But again, they do present further opportunities for Indigenous entrepreneurs to learn more about the other Indigenous communities throughout Canada in terms of if the market and their product or service is relevant. And the same thing with the Black Entrepreneur Startup Program. We can assign a Black mentor. We have Black networking opportunities, again, if that is called for, if that is what the client is in need for as well. So we can help address some of that.
Good. Another question I have for you, or Gemma put it in, is how long does it take? So I know from some of the clients I've worked with how long it takes, but how long from application to loan?
Traditionally, it takes approximately 8 weeks. It can be faster or it can be slower because in that post-submission of your application, there is often a request for additional supplementary, like supporting documentation.
Right.
And that can take time. If there's any delays there from the client, then of course it's going to be delayed in going to adjudication.
Right, great. If everybody is interested in writing a business plan, the Futurpreneur business plan template is one of the easiest to use. It gives you little help text and videos and examples all the way along the process. So it's definitely something we have used with a lot of our clients. So it's worth always having a business plan. Certainly you don't need a 50-page business plan, but you do need a plan. We plan for weddings and vacations and we plan for everything, but sometimes we forget to plan for our business. So very important to plan for the business. Does anyone have any more questions for Enrique? I don't see any hands raised, but what I will say is you'll be in the chat box and you can answer some of those questions that people may have right there. So Enrique, thank you so much. I really appreciate your presentation today and the information that you shared. And we're going to move on to David Fink from Pathwise Credit Union. And we will put the details that are being asked in the chat box shortly. So sorry, I'm going to move on to David. David, I'm going to make you co-host. I'll ask you to unmute.
All right, I'm just getting, okay, perfect.
Yep. You just get yourself situated and I'll pin you to the screen. That's great. Gemma, I will put the link to the business plan in a second. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is David Vink. I'm a commercial services leader here at Pathwise Credit Union. And excited to share with you guys a little bit about us and our path moving forward here and how that fits in with our partnership with BACD and assisting all of you. So Pathwise Credit Union, what we are, a little bit of history about us, getting into some of the business banking benefits, as well as our own path to providing advice-centered business banking, and just ending things off with just kind of some comments on the importance of relationship with your bank. So what is a credit union? I know for me, 13 months in here, after a decade plus with large financial institutions such as RBC and CIBC, the credit union space, I feel is a little bit lesser known within the province of Ontario. So we'll go in to start there with a little bit of history there. So credit unions are cooperatives, people-centered enterprises owned, controlled, and run by our membership. So we are guided by 7 principles. So open membership, democratic control and cooperation, as well as autonomy and independence, economic participation by our members, concern for the community, and education, foremost training and information. So these were the values that really attracted me to taking on the role here at Pathwise. We are truly owned by our membership. I remember in my past life, other bankers on the call might recall, maybe quarterly earnings and maybe sometimes frustration from clients as to you guys making all this money. To the defense of that, most pension funds, as well as many of our retirements, include investments in our banks, and they provide a very important service. For me personally, I like the opportunity of really being connected with the community. So, what I've seen in my 13 months here are these principles really, living out. We are run by our own membership and a board of directors that's elected by such. We work very cooperatively, with other credit unions across the country. I can speak this foremost as I've really taken on to restructure this organization and kind of how we work with our members, and have been able to connect with other credit unions across the country on amazing initiatives that they're doing, and really excited with our partnership with BACD and continuing to work towards providing our members strong advice and really relationship centered business moving forward. Benefits of Pathwise.
David, sorry to interrupt you. Your
Yeah.
PowerPoint isn't moving forward, so I don't know. It just shows that you on screen on page 1.
Really? Okay.
I don't know if it's moving on your end.
Yeah, it is moving on my end, so I'm not quite sure here.
If you unshare,
I am going to get back here, and I think it's picked the wrong screen. So I'm going to just try to little drag and drop. Okay, people seeing that now?
yes.
Multiple screens. I apologize, everybody.
No problem. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. I'm not sure if it's showing my own kind of.
It's good. I can see business banking, benefits of banking.
Okay, thank you. So 7 cooperative principles, business banking, benefits of Pathwise. So again, we support local. We work directly with the community, as well as our own membership, in supporting their businesses. We regularly feature our commercial and business members within our annual report, as well as through ongoing events. We generally have a flagship event, Love Your Local, where we host, kind of a community event in our parking lot. That's something that we're really, reorganizing to come out flying next year. And I'll share a little bit about our path and kind of what that looks like, because it does feed into everything. Our business banking accounts start at just $10 a month. And for BACD clients, we continue to offer the first 6 months free. And again, we'll share contact information for me and my team at the end of this presentation, and encourage you guys to reach out and tell us a little bit about yourselves and your own journey, and love to explore how we can assist you, both on the banking side, but as well as on the lending side. So our own path to advice-centered business banking. So, really kind of focusing and really building on the cooperative principles of credit unions. Wanted to share our own values. We've got an acronym REACH around here. So the R for recognize and meet people where they're at. Encouraging open and transparent conversations, which I'll kind of share a little bit, on that note, with our own path as well. Act with integrity, commitment to community-based decisions, as well as humanized banking. Our own vision within the department is really based on a number of different principles, or rather vision. Really focusing on putting our members first, being financial coaches to our members. Quality credit, which I'll kind of expand on, and that really feeds into kind of the relationship that you build with your bank, be it us or your own institution, as well as people and culture. So on the open and transparent conversations, for folks that I've connected with, I'm very open about kind of the state that we find ourselves in. We are an 84-year-old credit union, formerly the Auto Workers Credit Union. We became open bonded, which means open to general membership in the 90s. And our experience in commercial banking's, probably about 20 years. As I came in here about 13 months ago, have come to, describe the place as a little bit of an 84-year-old startup. I share, a lot of, kind of commonality with some of the earlier presenters in terms of the angels and kind of where we find ourselves, and really, another thing, kind of building the airplane as we fly. So, I have the benefit of a lot of structured experience in my past roles. And the 13 months to date has really been about redesigning our business for the future. And that's really centered, again, around our members, being coaches, quality credit, which I think is really a two-way street, as well as our people and culture. Really excited as I find a lot of our new members are in a similar state. And I can share just through my own experience with Path clients over 10 plus years in commercial and business banking, on kind of that path that we all navigate as business owners. So we do share some commonality with a lot of the folks that we get in here. Now on the quality credit side, I think that's a great segue into the relationship that you hold with your financial institution. I think we want to recognize and meet people where we're at. And we recognize that not everybody that comes to us is in this completely polished state. I know in my past life with the banks, I found that unless you had kind of the business plan and everything lined out and it just made itself to be a real easy deal, sometimes folks wouldn't get the time of day. And I think that's what attracted me to the credit union, to be able to truly kind of help people along that path. But on the quality credit side, I think, that really kind of comes into, and earlier presentations from Spark initially on kind of where you find yourself through that path, right? So quality credit and debt financing is certainly something that comes at a stage of your business, right? And really my goal is, and that ties into the financial coaching aspect of working with our members to educate them on the different options available to them, right? So, a credit union, similar to a bank, has a certain level of risk tolerance, right? And, a lot of people, will ultimately look for financing that in certain respects might be more of what I loved, Kristen sharing earlier, was love money, right? So we do have, some pretty innovative programs. We had a microloan program that ran for the month of May, and something we're going to continue to look to build on and support. But in a lot of cases, credit with a credit union or a bank really represents a certain amount of risk tolerance in those institutions. But credit itself is offered in quite a range, right? And this could, start with cash that you have available to invest in your business, scaling from equity. Should you have a home in your primary residence, that often forms a good amount of seed capital for a lot of entrepreneurs. But then getting into the credit market, there's quite a range, right? There's A, B, C, private lenders, and really you're going to see a range of interest rates, terms and conditions, fees along that continuum, right? So when you're looking at credit unions, banks, you're really working with institutions that are lower risk on the scale, right? But with that comes cheaper credit, lower fees, and often a more structured kind of experience versus, if you're earlier stage and you're not willing to say, bring on equity investors, there's private lenders available. I know for folks getting involved, there's options like factoring and purchase order financing. So if you've got, product or service and you've got an initial need, but you need the capital to be able to serve that, there's a variety of lenders. So I really encourage, everybody on the call, regardless of what stage you find yourselves at, reach out to us and let us know where you're at. Because really, we're really focused on building towards our future path of being advice centered and really relationship centered, and that's what I encourage for folks as well, right? I think people look at banks often as the person that is going to approve your dream business or that, right? But really look at that relationship that you build with them and that understanding of along your path, right? And I think that transparent conversations goes a real long way. Lenders are trained to always look at the glass half empty, right? So in the absence of that transparency, your banker is going to take a lot of liberties in just assuming certain things. So, we've seen the worst, right? And without hearing it from you, we're going to assume the worst. So really encourage that open and transparent conversations, not just with us, but with your own institution. But I think that really comes down to the trust that you build with your banker. For us, what we're really hoping to build here is having the skills and knowledge sits within our team to really be able to coach you along that journey. Recognize when we're going to be able to help you, but point you in the right direction as to areas where you're not quite ready for that support. Let you know what you do need to get to that support, but then educate you on the different options available within the credit sphere, or speaking to options within equity financing, how to approach love money, because again, a lot of people will say, hey, mixing family or friends with business is not always advisable. And again, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. So we're all going to find ourselves within different levels of comfort as we go through this, and that's the exciting journey of an entrepreneur. And really for us, we're excited of being part of that path with you. And really, truly, we mean business, and what we're building here, we hope to really provide a seamless offer to our clients, both small and large, and encourage you guys to reach out, both myself and Angie, really open to engaging with you guys and learning a little bit about your own businesses and what those paths look like, and discussing how we might be able to help. So I'll open it up to any questions. But again, feel free to engage us via email. I'll open up the chat here as well as I stop sharing, and thank everybody for their patience with my technology ineptitude here.
Thank you, David. I also want to share with people that you were in your own business as well, in your younger years. So you have that entrepreneurship experience. And I think, was it a licensing opportunity or a franchise opportunity that you were involved in as a student?
I actually, when I started in university, there's somebody that jumped up in front of the lecture, talked about College Pro, painting. It's a painting franchise. I know Student Works is probably the better known one as College Pro. I don't think is in Canada anymore, but really it's a student-owned painting franchise. There's window franchises. So for me, that experience, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Teresa, really gave me the benefit of understanding, I guess, the structure that a business needs to kind of build that path to success and scaling, right? So that, as well as a marketing startup that me and some other classmates had done in university. I spent time overseas teaching English, and really my decade plus of working with entrepreneurs of all shapes and sizes is really what I look to give back to our members, right? Is really the benefit of that.
Right.
Anyone that knows me knows that I really kind of seek to offer some value in any stage, right? I always want to make the time for folks, and I know very clearly where we can help in terms of actively building a relationship with folks. So it can be very clear with anybody that reaches out in terms of, hey, what we would look at in terms of a loan and how we might be different from a bank. Because we do entertain more risk and more flexible situations than a bank would. But then in cases where it doesn't fit in the box, so to speak, and I hate that term, but it is true for any financial institution, really pointing, folks in the right direction, and to resources like BACD, Futurpreneur, BDC, there's so much resources available to us as entrepreneurs, and really my knowledge and relationships within, kind of finance and everything, want to add that value to anyone that engages with us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I don't see any questions, but we're going to move on to the next presentation. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. Also, if you want to share about you and your business, you're welcome to do so in the chat box as well. And then just as a call to action, if you are ready to find out more about financials, but maybe not ready to meet with any of the institutions that are here today, is reach out to BACD. We can help you too, just mapping what the roadmap is for you and your business. So we work with people who start businesses that are, like some of our clients are people that just want a side hustle and they're making $20,000 on the side. Another client of ours is making $5 million a year. So there's a huge difference in our clients, but it is all similar. All the elements that make a business successful are the same in many ways. And so we understand those and we can help you and partner with you. We're here to help you build that roadmap for you, whatever that is, right? So that is the small business or the bigger business. And then also having the resources to pass you on to different places in our community. It is said that it takes a village to raise a child, but I would say it's the same for business. For business, you need your network, you need people around you, you need support from different organizations. You might start with BACD and then have to move on to other organizations because your needs are better fitted there. So that makes sense. So thank you again, David, for presenting today. It was great to have you share a little bit more about Pathwise Credit Union. I don't know if anyone has ever banked with the credit union, but it is very different. And you are a member. It is a cooperative. So there's a very different structure, and also the whole not-for-profit structure also means that it comes from a very different angle. So please reach out to them, and I will share the contact information for everybody. And David, you're also welcome to just pop that into the chat box. Thank you, as I said it. So great. So next we're moving on to BDC, and I'm just going to have Chris come up. So Chris, I think you're unmuted. That's good. And you should be able to share your screen, which should take David's down.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. One moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to pin. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you guys see my screen? Just want to make sure everything's good.
We can see it. It was flashing for a few minutes, but that's gone away, thankfully.
Okay.
And over to you, Chris, from the BDC, Business Development Bank of Canada, the Bank for Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being here today. Really great to have you speak with everyone.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining all of us. So my name is Chris, and I'm the local account manager here in the Durham region for BDC. So I wanted to thank Teresa and the BACD for putting this event together. It's a great forum to hear all about the different great programs and advice we have and other options that everyone that's available for all entrepreneurs. I think we all have different offerings, but the one thing that ties us together is the passion to help entrepreneurs, right? We all want to help everyone grow. With that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about BDC and where we can help with achieving your goals. So BDC, Business Development Bank of Canada, we're the bank for entrepreneurs. We complement the role played by the private sector financial institutions. We are profitable. We're profitable, operating at no cost to the Canadian taxpayer, and we only have one shareholder, which is the Government of Canada. And we're proud to be the first financial institution in Canada to receive a B Corp beneficial corporation certification, and the 100th Canadian company joined the B Corp community. B Corps are generally businesses that act in ways that benefit society as a whole, rather than focusing solely on making profits. It's granted by the certifications granted by the nonprofit organization called B Labs. It's similar to like fair trade certifications for coffee and LEED certifications for green buildings, if you were wondering what B Corp certifications was. So in order to tell you a bit more, just to highlight how important entrepreneurs are, I want to include the following stats. So in all of Canada, small businesses are those with fewer than 100 employees, which account for 97% of all Canadian companies. While medium businesses, which are typically 100 to 499 employees, it accounts for 1.8%. So that's which means 99.8% of all Canadian companies are small and medium-sized businesses, which is huge. So we want to get up in front of them and help you guys grow. So a little bit about our services, right? It's an overview of BDC and how our business is structured.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't think your presentation is moving forward either. We've still just got the BDC logo.
Oh my God. Okay.
I think it's the share screen thing, right?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Let's try to fix this, right?
Okay, I was the trailblazer for you, Chris.
Yeah. So you're not the only one. Okay. If you just give me one moment, let me. You just still see the BDC logo, I guess, right now, right?
That's all we can see. Yeah, that's on. It's a PDF. Okay, now we just see you, and then let's try share screen again.
Okay. Let me try that one more time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. The joys of technology. Okay, good. Now I see something. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I think we left off about here. You see something?
Okay. Yes, I can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So in terms of our structure, we have, in a nutshell, what we offer is financing in terms of term loans, capital, such as VC, growth transition capital, and advisory services. Our business loan represents over 90% of our BDC portfolio. Through our investments arm at BDC Capital, we also offer like full spectrum of specialized risk capital, including venture capital, growth, and business transition capital. We also offer a full range of non-financial services to entrepreneurs, which all these are grouped under advisory services, which help grow and optimize businesses with many different consulting and advisory programs, which I will discuss later. So we are a Crown corporation with a clear mandate to support Canadian entrepreneurship by providing financial management services with a particular focus on small and medium-sized businesses. We are financially sustainable and we take on a higher risk transactions, and we do price accordingly. Okay, so with this map, as it relates, our reach is national, all over Canada. We have more than 2,500 employees now, all over Canada, close to 123 business centers. So typically one in every municipality, every city. As Canada's development bank, we need to be where the entrepreneurs are and provide them with financing and advisory when they need it. So we work with about around 63,000 entrepreneurs across the whole country. We have 36.5 billion in capital committed to small and medium businesses. And finally, the entrepreneurs are very, very happy to work with us because of the ease of doing business, they say. So they're satisfied, and we get a lot of repeat clients. And we're there. BDC is there from difficult times, and our mission has never been more critical than recently during the COVID-19 pandemic. We stepped up to deliver a lot of relief programs to entrepreneurs, such as the COVID relief program, online financing, etc. So as the COVID-19 program, we participate with the government. We work closely with EDC, Export Development Canada, and with other private sector financial institutions, such as the chartered banks and other banks, to design and implement the BCAP, Business Credit Availability Program, to assist as many business owners as possible. We also, at this time, developed a lot of direct response measures to support entrepreneurs. So the most important parts, the highlights of what we did during the relief and pandemic time was loan postponements for our clients up to 6 months. So this is more than 40,000 postponements we issued just to help with the ease of cash flow at that time. Up to 2 million in working capital loans with flexible terms. So that was additional 2.5 billion in new financing. And for eligible Canadian venture-backed startups, we designed a program called BDC Capital Bridge Financing, where 300 million were invested. So BDC Advisory, we also developed 3 new advisory solutions at that time, because we knew many retail businesses were going down under, and we were a lot of people were switching to e-commerce. So there was advisory solutions to help them during that time. So increase your online sales, minimize disruption by boosting your online presence and sales from digital activities. We had an online program for that. Maintain critical activities with an operations and cash flow plan. So financial management programs to help entrepreneurs understand how to mitigate challenges during those times. And even we had a health risk advisory programs to help them ensure that they're meeting their guidelines and safety protocols accordingly to the Government of Canada. So the main part, I'm going to quickly run through our 2 main offerings, which is financing and the advisor services that impacts the greatest impact for the entrepreneurs. So our financing solutions, in terms of financing, we offer financing for commercial. It can be for pretty much for any kind of project. So as you can see, we can do access to working capital if client wants to buy a business, invest in commercial real estate, purchase business equipment, transfer new business technology, startups starting a new business, and moving to new markets. So it can be for any kind of project. We are there to finance your business. What makes us a little bit different than your typical lender would be we got longer repayment periods, repayment schedules to match the business's cash flow cycle. We do take a little bit higher risk tolerance, but that is also priced into our terms as well. And our terms and conditions, they don't change without due cause. We are a non-demand lender. So typically most of the other lenders are demand lenders, the chartered banks. And personal assets, we don't take them as collateral for any of our loans as well, as a strictly business entrepreneur bank. And for other entrepreneurs who need smaller loan amounts, they can apply through our online financing for $100,000 or less. It's an automated online process. And right now that money can be there for them. Typically takes 1 to 2 weeks. It can be fully dispersed. And there is no application fees for this online process. And it is fully done by the client online. So these are loans for 100,000 or less, typically working capital loans. The other services we provide are advisory, like I said. So beyond financing, We give entrepreneurs practical advice to help them run a better business, more profitable business, because we know they need more money to succeed. We've been offering advisory services at the BDC for more than 35 years now. Our national network of consultants all across are highly experienced. They are contracted by BDC or they work for the BDC, and they help entrepreneurs scale up their business, be more productive, innovate, and globalize their business. They work one-on-one with the entrepreneur and get a deep understanding of what their business is about to help them address the challenges that come from growth, no matter how daunting it seems to them. We accompany clients throughout the mandate, offering objective and practical advice on a wide range of subjects to help them build a strong and successful company. So our solutions are designed to equip entrepreneurs with knowledge, know-to, and function every company with their confidence, right? So our goal in advisory services is to work smarter. Our goal is to help adopt and incorporate best practices to meet your business and remain competitive. So first, we want to accelerate your growth. We work by increasing your sales, by focusing on sales and marketing, both traditionally and digitally, as well as innovation. So with product development. Second, we want your business to be more agile and more efficient. We can help you improve your operations by streamlining processes, implementing lean manufacturing, and selecting the right equipment and technology for your business. We also help build organizational capabilities to manage business effectively. We offer advisory services in areas such as, strategic planning, financial management, organizational design, HR management, and just recently we've been extremely busy with the Canadian Digital Adaptation Program, which was launched in March with the government. So it's for businesses who are looking to implement and use technology in their business. So we come in and assess what the digital needs are, such as if it's an ERP software or any kind of software needs for the business, hardware or software needs. We work with finding new markets to help your business grow, including international expansion. Finally, we can also help address more specific needs like optimizing your online sales. What we don't do at the BDC, so we talked about what we do, but what we don't do is, so number one, guaranteed investment certificates we don't do. We don't do grants, no interest-free loans, term deposits, lines of credit, non-commercial loans or residential loans. And we're not a typical bank where you have your business account and credit cards, etc. We complement the other lenders, and in fact, we work with them. They work with us for any typical loans. So when we have if you have other needs such as line of credits or any personal needs, we can work with other partners, and we can definitely refer you there. So we also support entrepreneurs in other ways, in indirect ways at the BDC.ca. There's a variety of free advice, a lot of templates, a lot of articles, a lot of ebooks, a lot of blogs, right? It's always updated. So entrepreneurs have access to this, and they can, go through, and there's a lot of knowledge to be learned from there. As a part of our mission to help create and develop Canadian businesses, BDC has an active research and market department that regularly produces surveys and reports that offer insights into the Canadian market, into the Canadian businesses. So our website, bdc.ca, offers a variety of free advice. Like I said, this is just a glimpse at it. When you get a chance, go take a look. There's a lot of things to be there, and even case studies, articles from existing businesses, etc. We also organized and launched a Small Business Week. So it's a week-long celebration of the outstanding contribution of Canadian entrepreneurs to the economy. This has been ongoing for about 41 years now, and just to showcase our small business and how they're the backbone, right, of our economy. With that, check out the website here with different events that we host locally and nationally. It can be on the link here. And to sum it up, so again, like I said, we're only devoted to Canadian entrepreneurs, only devoted to businesses, to help businesses. We know the markets, as we have a BDC nationally and one, every in city, every municipality. So I cover Durham, and we know every stage of the business journey. We're there to help, and that's it. And here's my contact info. It's there. That's my direct line, email, and anytime, please reach out if you guys need anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate your presentation and sharing that helpful information with everyone. I have one question so far in the chat box for you. And the question is, do you only do commercial real estate financing, or does the person need to provide down payments? Do you only commercial?
We only do commercial, only for business.
Yeah.
But in terms of down payment, that's case by case. There's no fixed amount or set amount to the business. It all depends on the business and qualification. We can discuss that with the client, but only commercial.
Okay, good. And for the 100K loan, what are the main requirements that you might have? I don't know if you have a list of those, or if you just want to put the link in the chat box.
Well, it can be applied at bdc.ca, but typically the heavy requirements, they look at the personal credit score of the business, or the client. And the business has to be operating for more than 2 years.
Okay.
So for startups, it's not done through online financing. It can be directly through BDC account manager.
Thank you.
Startups, 2 years or less.
Jama, you've mentioned that you are looking to move your online store to a physical location. If you've been in operation for 2 years, then BDC would look at that. They do look at the financial history of the business as well. So that's why they need a couple of years where they can see your financial statements and how the business has been doing. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah. Chris, there's a couple more in the chat box. One is the real estate company. She said they say they do investment real estate. Does that qualify as commercial? I think it would if it was incorporated business, right?
Yes. Well, it depends on the investment. Is it like a commercial, like commercial plazas or commercial units?
Yes.
Then yes. But if this is like strictly, they're owning a lot of residential homes as investment properties.
Right.
No, we don't do that. We don't do invest as a resident if it's homes.
But so that might be something to. Sorry, go on.
Sorry. No, I was going to say if it's like a plaza or if it's a commercial unit, etc. And they're not operating a business there, but it's for investment purpose. Yeah, we do those, but not for residential.
I think if David, if you could pop on and just answer that question, would you work with real estate investment companies?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, actually, it's one area that we have done a lot of work with. A large area of our business that I see is a lot of investors in real estate, and actually I've built out models for folks that are kind of getting started in that, but maybe lack some of the organization that we look for. A lot of the credit models that I've built out really seeks to leverage a lot of the Excel type kind of organization that people have on their properties. So like you've got your rent roll in terms of the individual tenants with your income and expense. I tend to encourage our members to provide that Excel document because I kind of plug and play with our own credit models. In essence, when we're working with real estate investors, cash flow, right? I'll be very transparent in that what I see in this space quite a bit is people kind of building sometimes a bit of a house of cards. People are always kind of trying to refinance to kind of be able to feed the machine and keep growing. But what we really focus on are kind of sustainable investors that really kind of focus on, long-term cash flow. Again, we generally have a covenant of 1.25 to 1. So that would be their EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, over their principal and interest payments. So we want to see a 20% buffer above that. We might encounter situations where someone's acquired a property with maybe depressed market rents and things like that. So I have built out structures with these individuals to kind of build that path out. But it needs to be very coherent and understood as to what that strategy is, because there's a lot of people that just jump into this kind of fear of missing out, be like, hey, everyone's getting into real estate, I need to make money. We really want to kind of approach things from a very strategic standpoint. So very open to having discussions with folks. I've built out models for portfolios that includes a lot of great resources, where if you're looking at a commercial, mixed use, large apartment, there's a lot of things that I've got that could help you organize your existing portfolio, or kind of have a bit of a playbook in terms of how you might kind of expand this type of business operation.
Thank you for that. Please reach out to David. David, if you'll put your link again in the chat box, and Chris, same for you, if you had put your contact information in the chat box, and people can cut and paste. Also, the chat, you can save it. There's a little save icon next to the face, or 3 little dots. So if you click on the 3 little dots, you can save this onto your computer, and then you can get hold of our presenters directly. So now it's my turn. So all I'm going to talk about is a little bit about the programs that BACD has, and I'm going to put the links in the chat box for you as well. So the first one I'm talking about is just the growth programs that we have. One of them is the Starter Company Plus program. It is a grant of up to $5,000, and it is non-repayable. But for that program, you are required to be in business between 1 and 5 years. You need a business bank account. You're going to need to show your registration, and you will also go through 3 days of training at BACD, write a little business plan, and then we have an external committee that actually approves those grants. So that's one program. We have Modern CEO, which is a coaching and mentoring program. And we also have Digital Main Street and Shop Here. So Shop Here is more for startup businesses. It is a program that offers you a free website, either Shopify or Square. What they do for free is build it, consult with you, get your content on there, put your products and services on it, and then you have to pay for either the hosting or the domain or the running of the platform. So yes, Jama, thank you. You used Shop Here for your website. So it's a really great program if you're getting started and you need someone to help you with all of that. And then Digital Main Street is for businesses that are physically located or have a brick and mortar location and a commercial lease. And the program is a grant of up to $2,500 for the digital adoption. So I know some on here have had the grant before. If you had it before last year's program, you can apply for it again, which means that you can get another $2,500. So because the program has changed between federal and provincial government, there's different buckets of funding. So some businesses are able to get up to $7,500 because it's gone through different funding organizations. So, reach out to us at BACD. The link I've given you is right there. And then the other link I included as well was a whole up-to-date article on the grants and funding that is around for small business. So we try and keep that article up to date with new information that we get out in the community, and we put that on there as well. So as a whole, there's a big misnomer or a myth that there's a lot of grants available for small business. There really isn't a ton of grants available. If you think of it, it is taxpayers' dollars being put forward as a grant. So most of the time, you should never have to pay anybody to give you a list of grants, because those grants are generally on government websites or on foundation websites. And that's what we have linked to. So I just wanted to mention that, because sometimes we've had some of our clients end up paying like $600 for a list of grants that we're listed in the grant directory, but meanwhile it's free to find that information, right? And then the hardest part about applying for grants most of the time is the application process and the business plan. So if you are thinking that's the road you want to go down, then make sure that you maybe go through the process of writing a business plan. You can do it with us, or you could do it by yourself, and you can use the Futurpreneur template. Once you've gone through that process, like it's no longer feeling that scary for you, and you can do it for lots of different programs. It all just depends on the business. It depends on the industry you're going into. It depends on what levers or what focuses the government has. Many times the government incents businesses, types of businesses or industries, because that's what they want Canada's GDP to grow in, or that's what they want to give opportunity to. So it's very aligned with green energy or robotics or indigenous entrepreneurs. There's certain things that the government are aligning with and promoting. And so, if you fall into those areas of business, perhaps there's more grants. But one thing that is available to all of you is there's lots of support from a business advisory, coaching, and resources and knowledge learning. So there's lots of those kinds of supports for you. And if you're stuck about where to start, you can always come to us first, and we can take you to those areas where you need to go next. So just to close in, I want to just say thank you so much to everybody for being here today and for listening and giving us your attention. I know your time is valuable. You could be in so many other places, and here you are learning about finance. So thank you. And thank you to our presenters, Chris from the BDC, David from Pathwise, Kristen from Spark Angels, and then Enrique from Futurpreneur as well. So thank you for being here again. And we will share this presentation on our YouTube channel as well, so that if you need to go back and have a look, it's really up to you about what you take from here and incorporate into your business, or what your next steps are. But I would recommend that you really get to know the financial landscape or environment that you're in, learn about finance, learn about your own finance and financial ratios. At BACD, we'd walk you through any of that if you need to know. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful day today, and look forward to seeing you around.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you. I meant to say we've got one in-person networking event on Tuesday next week at the Royal Oak, Whitby North. If anybody wants to come, go and register. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Cheers.